We are going to go man for man down the practice squad for the Kansas City Chiefs, and this is going to take a while, so stick with me through this, and we will get there. Cole Christensen, linebacker, 6'1", 230, 6 foot 230, 31.5-inch arm length, 9 7/8-inch hands. The Arrowhead Pride blurb on him read as such: after playing college football for Army, Christensen has been on and off the Chiefs active roster and practice squad over the past 3 seasons. He appeared in 9 games for the 2024 Chiefs, playing 141 snaps on special teams. He totaled 6 tackles this preseason. Now, in addition to that, through all of these seasons, 5 seasons in the NFL, he has played a total of 0 defensive snaps. So this is exclusively a special teamer. If I'm being honest with you, I think the Chiefs probably wanted to retain Cam Jones, but he was picked up off of the waiver wire and did not make it back to the Kansas City Chiefs practice squad. You see here he has, in his time, 6 tackles, 5 solo in 22 appearances. So that is what you're getting from Cole Christensen, a special teams linebacker. There are worse things to have on your practice squad than a special teams linebacker. But as we saw in the preseason, probably not someone that you want to have on the base defense. So do your best to keep him on special teams if you find him on the active roster. Ethan Downs, defensive end. Arrowhead Pride says of him, Downs signed with the Jacksonville Jaguars in April as an undrafted free agent. After 4 seasons at Oklahoma, he was waived in their final roster cuts in 51 games with the Sooners. Downs accumulated 12.5 career sacks along with a pair of forced fumbles and an interception. There is a full-length video on Ethan Downs on the channel. There's a full-length video on most of these guys on the channel, but Ethan Downs is in the draft picks playlist here on the channel, not because he was a draft pick, obviously, but because he is a rookie. You are looking at his RAS score here, 8.64, with a 10.5-inch hand, a 6 foot 4-inch height, 269 pounds, 32 bench press reps. This is, I think, the vision for Ethan Downs is that you have a backup George Karlaftis for George Karlaftis. Probably he needs to spend this season on the practice squad, at least as far as from what I can tell. He does have a good 4.69 40-yard dash. The big thing you're going to have to worry about with him is right here, 31-inch arms. He is a Tyrannosaurus Rex out there, and that is not going to help him, but it's certainly not going to help him in the pass rush, especially when his agility scores are both in the red here. A 3.55 rating on, or a 3.55 score on his short shuttle and a 2.7 score on his 3-cone drill. Those are scores out of 10. So very, very low in those. If he were even moderate in those scores, he would have been a probably drafted prospect there, even with the 31-inch arms. Then the inevitable return of the great Mike Edwards. Hit me up in the comments if you know what that is a reference to. A 6-year veteran, Edwards has won a Super Bowl playing against the Chiefs while with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2021, and another while playing with the Kansas City Chiefs as a member of the 2023 Super Bowl Levi'i squad. After splitting time between the Buffalo Bills and the Buccaneers in 2024, he returned to the Chiefs in the offseason. Although he did not make Tuesday's 53-man roster, Edwards has 8 career interceptions in 83 regular season games. Mike Edwards this preseason looked as if that S on his last name were for plural, as if he were 2 human beings inside a former Mike Edward. Did not look good, did not look fast, and looked much bigger than his listed 205 pounds. I mean, he looked like he was pushing to play defensive end out there. But you see a guy here who has 83 games of experience, 30 games of starting experience through his NFL career, 247 tackles, 5 QB hits. Now, here's the thing here. 2023, he played 118 special teams reps for the Chiefs, 50 reps each of the previous 2 seasons to that, 177 in 2020, 116 in 2019. But in 2024, he played just 16 special teams reps. If he were more reliable as a special teamer, he may have made the 53. I think that the Chiefs had to have people that were willing to play special teams. Perhaps it is not that Mike Edwards was looked over for special teams in his time in Buffalo and Tampa Bay last season. Maybe it was that he was just refusing to do so. But whatever the case, he played only 191 snaps of defense as well. How often is it that players go from playing for a Super Bowl champion or a Super Bowl contender with the Kansas City Chiefs and find themselves on the receiving end of a contract that they do not play out? It's crazy how often that happens. Then we have Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Yes, Clyde came back. Sometimes they come back. The Chiefs' first-round selection in the 2020 NFL Draft returns to Kansas City after a short sabbatical with the New Orleans Saints. Edwards-Helaire appeared in 48 games for the Chiefs games over his first 4 seasons, totaling 2,610 yards from scrimmage and 16 touchdowns. After re-signing with Kansas City as a free agent last year, he did not see the field. He was released in December, finishing the season with the Saints. Am I the only one who thought in the back of my mind Clyde Edwards-Helaire had been gone much longer than the amount of time he was not with the Kansas City Chiefs? I guess that's how it goes when you were utterly forgettable in your tenure. Now, 5'7", basically 5'7" flat, is a score of .66. So at least I know where I would rack up or where I would size up in the NFL. 207 pounds, 15 reps on the bench press, all of the composite size grades poor. A 4.60 40-yard dash and a 1.6 10-yard split, decent. 39.5-inch vert, 10-foot 3-inch broad jump, good numbers there. That gives him a total RAS of 5.41. And you see what he did in his NFL career thus far. Basically nothing. I mean, steadily downhill. 803 yards as a rookie, 517 his sophomore campaign in the NFL, then 302, then 223, then 46. Touchdowns, 4, then 3, then 1, then 0. It is just constantly downhill for Clyde Edwards-Helaire, even on the receiving side of things. 36 receptions, 19 receptions, 17, 3. So I don't know what to say here. This is an attempt to have someone on the roster that you know, someone on the roster that knows the scheme. I don't think there is any upside here with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Going to be 26 years old. Entered the league at just 21. I understand the draft pick as it was made. He looked like the key piece that would have completed that Chiefs offense at the time, but it was not to be so. Then we have Jason Brodric, tackle 6'5", 293. There's basically nothing you can find about Jason Brodric on the internet. Hailing from Lagos, Nigeria, Brodric has been with the Chiefs since 2022 as the team's International Pathway Program player. The Chiefs will again receive a practice squad roster exemption for Brodric, which allows them to sign a 17th player to the unit. During his 3rd preseason with the team, Brodric played 78 offensive snaps. Now, I don't believe that Jason Brodric has a future on a 53 in the NFL. I just don't. That said, he has gotten markedly better every year that he's been with the Chiefs. Were it not for Jason Brodric making the practice squad, being that player which allows a 17th player on the practice squad, normally there's 16 players, the Chiefs would have but one offensive lineman, as Dalton Cooper and Esapole were signed by, I believe, the Packers and the Jets, respectively. So those were the 2 offensive linemen that I wanted on the practice squad, and they are both gone. So Jason Brodric finds himself here. I would love to see Jason Godric get work at offensive guard because I just don't see an offensive tackle position in his future. Speaking of offensive guard, C.J. Hansen. Hansen stuck on the Chiefs' 53-man roster all of last season after being a 7th-round pick out of Holy Cross, but despite extensive preseason action, he did not make Tuesday's cut. Hansen's only regular season action came in last year's Week 18 contest against the Denver Broncos when the Chiefs rested most starters, and I thought he looked okay then. But he has a great RAS score, though he did not do the agility. 6'5", 300, 33.5-inch vert, 9'7" broad jump, a 5-flat 40-yard dash, giving him an RAS score of 9.86, though you see he has a 32 3/8-inch arm length. That's a little bit on the shorter side for an offensive lineman, but something that can be overcome. He reminds me a lot of Joe Thuney. I know Joe Thuney is one of the top guards in the NFL, but when you watch him move, I think he has those same movement skills. I think that he does offer upside in emergencies at offensive tackle the same way that did Joe Thuney. There you see him, 1 special team rep. I would like to know the story behind that, and 31 reps on offense. Now, we get into a prospect that I have not covered basically at all on this channel. Jimmy Holiday, a UDFA that for whom I did not make a video. Holiday took the hard road from Louisiana Tech to Kansas City by impressing as a rookie minicamp invitee and earning a contract. He was last seen impressing during the team's final preseason game against the Chicago Bears, hauling in a 50-yard reception from quarterback Chris Oladokun. He was also making plays on special teams. I think that is more his pathway to the roster. You have his RAS here, 5'11", 199, 36.5-inch vert, 10'3" broad jump, 4.40 40-yard dash, a 1.53 10-yard split, a bad short shuttle number at 4.41, and a decent 3-cone drill at 6.94, giving him an overall RAS score of 8.63. Here was my mistake with Jimmy Holiday. When I watched Jimmy Holiday, I was just not impressed. And I think that some of that was as a result of the talent around him on the field. So I was not able to see through the clutter to find who Jimmy Holiday was. But I was not impressed with anything that I saw, and he has done some impressing here in the preseason. So kudos to Jimmy Holiday, who sounds like a character that should be in a Joe Pesci movie. Kevin Knowles, cornerback, 5'11", 190, rookie free agent out of Florida State. Knowles also made his presence known in the Chiefs' preseason game against the Bears, blocking an extra point attempt in the second half. Knowles played in 50 games for the Seminoles over the past 4 seasons. Knowles was my second favorite defensive back among the UDFAs. I really liked Glendon Miller. He is no longer a Kansas City Chief. I don't think he was picked up anywhere. But Knowles goes 5'9" and 7/10, basically 5'10", 189 pounds, 12 bench press reps, all of those numbers, not very good. But a 41-inch vertical leap and a 10'6" broad jump, both of those numbers, very good. A 4.48 40-yard dash is a pretty decent number. It's a little on the lower side for what you want from a starting corner, but who's to say starting here? And a 10-yard split of 1.54. Decent agility numbers too. A short shuttle that scores 5.66 and a 3-cone drill that scores 5.38. Knowles is a guy that I think has bottom of the roster potential. He is someone who, like when you're talking about your final cornerback, is it someone that's going to get the defense embarrassed? I don't think Knowles gets the defense embarrassed, and I think that he would be a plus on special teams, despite the fact that he's a little undersized and a little slow. A lot of times you want those absolute workout warriors for your special teamers because they don't have to offer the agility that that regular teams' football plays require. Then Brodric Martin, there is a new video on Brodric Martin on the channel that I made just after he was signed. The Detroit Lions drafted Martin out of Western Kentucky in the third round of the 2023 NFL Draft, 96th overall. The Chiefs actually hosted him for a top 30 visit before that draft. Injuries limited Martin to only 5 games over his first 2 seasons in Detroit. The Lions waived him on Tuesday. You're looking at a guy with an RAS score of 2.14. But that's not why you sign a Brodric Martin. You sign a Brodric Martin because he's 6'5", 330 pounds. You are looking to make a giant pile in the middle of the field by a guy who's 6'5", 330 with 35-inch arms. That's what you're looking for when you sign Brodric Martin. Brodric Martin, for his time in the NFL, 4 tackles total, not a whole lot of production. 5 games, 1 start. He has but 53 defensive snaps and 0 special team snaps. Then you have Chris Oladokun. Oladokun was a 2022 7th-round selection of the Pittsburgh Steelers. After being waived out of his rookie training camp, he has been on the Kansas City Chiefs practice squad for almost all of the past 3 seasons. The South Dakota State product did finally see his regular season action during Week 18 in Denver last season, though he did not attempt to pass. Oladokun was credited with a rushing attempt for 5 yards. A 7.34 RAS score, not that really matters for quarterbacks, but he's 6'1", 213, ran a 4.7 140-yard dash, which isn't great. I don't care that they list it as a green number because he's a quarterback. It's still not a great 40, right? But here's one thing I thought was interesting. Chris Oladokun's college career included stops at South Florida, Samford, and South Dakota State Jackrabbits. The Chiefs in South Dakota State have a special thing going on, where he played for the 2021 season, throwing for 3,164 yards and 25 touchdowns to earn all MVFC honorable mention honors. So that is your great third quarterback. Zacch Pickens, there is a video for Zacch Pickens on the channel. The Bears drafted Pickens in the 3rd round, 64th overall in the 2023 NFL Draft, though he was waived in this year's final cuts. In 26 games over the past 2 seasons, Pickens has totaled 39 combined tackles and 1.5 sacks. Of that incredible accumulation of talent that the Kansas City Chiefs went on a bender and signed the other day, I think Zacch Pickens is the main man. You're looking at a defensive tackle with an RAS score of 9.23, 34.375 arms, 10.375-inch hands, 6'3" and 7/10, basically 6'4". Though a little underweight at 291, I think he plays closer to 298 now. 22 bench press reps, 30.5-inch vert, 9'8" broad jump, a 4.89 40-yard dash for a defensive tackle with a 1.67 10-yard split, and his cone drills, his agility drills, very good for a defensive tackle. 4.62 on the short shuttle and 7.45 on the 3-cone drill. That 3-cone drill scores 8.48 out of 10. This is an athlete for a big man, but over the past 2 years, he's appeared in 26 games, but started just 3. He has 1.5 sacks, 39 tackles, and 2 tackles for loss, and 4 quarterback hits, playing 492 defensive snaps. He's also added 58 special team snaps. This is a guy that I think could develop into a regular rotation player for the Chiefs. He did not make it in Chicago. That does not mean he could not make it here. Then Jammie Robinson. There's a video for Jammie Robinson on the channel recently as well. Robinson was a 2023 5th-round selection out of Florida State by the Carolina Panthers. He played in 21 games in Carolina over the past 2 seasons, including a pair of starts in his rookie campaign. The Panthers waived Robinson in December, and the Arizona Cardinals claimed him. He was released in Arizona's final cuts on Tuesday during his sophomore season at Florida State. Robinson recorded 4 interceptions. So you're looking at a guy who is 5'10 and a half inches tall, 191 pounds, 23 reps on the bench press. Nothing very good on this side of things. 33.5-inch vert, 9'8" broad jump, bad numbers. 4.59 40-yard dash. That's a bad number for a strong safety. And a 1.5 10-yard split is a pretty good number no matter where you play. But Robinson hits above his weight class. This is, in my opinion, kind of a guy that you can count on to be Deion Bush when there's no Deion Bush. Pause. 21 games in his career, 2 games started, 20 total tackles, no tackles for loss. You're looking at a guy who has played a lot of special teams in his career. Just 75 snaps of defense, but he has played 366 snaps of special teams, including 269 in that 2023 season. Again, I think this is Deion Bush while Deion Bush is not here. Melvin Smith, cornerback. Hailing from tiny southern Arkansas, the Chiefs hosted Smith on a top 30 visit before the season's draft. Interest in this small school sleeper came after a strong showing against a more established competition in the Senior Bowl. Remember, I talked about the interest rising in him approaching the draft. Combined with a 4.39 40-yard dash time at his pro day, Smith played 36 preseason snaps for the Kansas City Chiefs. This is his RAS. He's a little undersized at 5'10", 190. A good vert at 38.5 inches, 10-foot broad jump. Then you have a 4.39 40 with a 1.49 10-yard split. This is a very springy player. I do like Melvin Smith. I think that there is a future in the NFL for him. Tyreke Smith, there was a video on Tyreke Smith recently on the channel as well. Smith was a 5th-round selection for the Seattle Seahawks in 2022, but after playing in 39 games for Ohio State, he has had a difficult time finding his NFL footing after missing his rookie season with an injury. His second season was split between the Seahawks and the Cardinals before he spent 2024 back in Seattle on the practice squad. Smith has been credited with 1 tackle in 3 career appearances in 2023, a 7.15 overall RAS with 33.25-inch arms, 6'3", 254 pounds. This is not what you would typically look at as a Steve Spagnuolo type defensive end, but if he can add some pop, I'm all for it. A 4.8 240-yard dash, but he does have great numbers at the agility drills. His short shuttle scoring a 9.17 and his 3-cone scoring an 8.71. That means you can probably bend around the edge at least a little bit. You see this here. He has appeared in 3 games, 0 starts, 1 tackle, 1 assisted tackle. So that is what he has done. He has also added 5 special team snaps along the way. So 19 reps base defense, 5 reps of special teams. Not a whole lot going on there. Then we have Carson Steele, the old fan favorite Carson Steele. Joined the Chiefs as an undrafted free agent following the 2024 draft, playing all 17 regular season games before missing this season's cut. This is a guy who started for the Chiefs last year. Just let that sink in. He finished his rookie campaign with 56 rushing attempts for 183 yards and 26 receiving yards on 7 catches. In the league's new kickoff formation, he was frequently lined up as the second return man, mostly as a blocker. Still, he returned 5 kickoffs for 138 yards. You see here a 7.59 RAS score. Suffered with the 40-yard dash, though people are telling me that he actually runs a 4.6. He was injured on this day. 6 foot tall, 228 pounds, 28 bench press reps, 37.5-inch vertical. A very powerful running back, as you saw last year, but not someone who is necessarily going to add in the speed department. 183 yards, 14 first downs, a 9-yard long. Not a whole lot of explosive runs for the Kansas City Chiefs last year. That has been part of the problem. That is why they're moving away from Carson Steele. Part of the reason. Marlon Tuipulotu, A 2021 sixth-round draft selection by the Philadelphia Eagles, Tuipulotu joined the Chiefs last August and appeared in a pair of games for the 2024 squad. After re-signing with Kansas City Chiefs in March, he did not make this year's team. In 30 career games played, Tuipulotu has totaled 47 tackles and 3 sacks, a 6.78 RAS score. Not a whole lot of good going on in this testing box, right? A couple of reds and a whole bunch of yellows, no greens at all. But you're looking at someone who has 47 tackles, 4 quarterback hits, 5 tackles for loss over the course of 510 snaps in the NFL. He's also added 109 special team snaps. Then we have Trey Watson. I've been telling you guys about Trey Watson for a long time. I really like Trey Watson, and I can't particularly describe why. An undrafted free agent from Texas A&M, Watson had a late start to Kansas City's training camp after beginning on the team's physically unable to perform list. He played 41 preseason offensive snaps for the Chiefs, while his college stats never show a 400-yard receiving season between Fresno State and College Station. Watson's pro day, 4.68 40-yard dash time, combined with a 35-inch vertical jump, imply intriguing athleticism for the position. I also believe that he can be a solid, sturdy blocking tight end. This can be a Robert Tonyan, if you will. So in your UDFA tight end class, you have Jake Brenningstool, who is I don't think he's Travis Kelce, but he's the Travis Kelce type, and Trey Watson, who I think might be Robert Tonyan. So you have additions to your tight end class in both of those ways. Now, an 8.45 overall RAS score, a 4.68 40-yard dash, 35-inch vert, 10-foot 4-inch broad jump. Those are very good numbers. He's 6'4", 247. So he's not the biggest guy in the world, but I do think he can throw a block. 19 reps on the bench press. You're looking at a guy with a 3-cone drill of 7.14, which scores 7.23. So that is a good, just look at your screen there. Besides the weight, which he can gain a few pounds, and the shuttle, the short shuttle, 20-yard short shuttle, this is a pretty good RAS score for a guy who you're going to be counting on to be maybe the 4th tight end on the roster someday. Someone who's going to come on the field and throw a block, someone who's going to run a sluggo route, something like that. That is what we have on the practice squad, all 17 guys. If you like or appreciate this sort of thing, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, the Chiefs are the only thing I talk about on this channel, so consider hitting the subscribe button and stick around. There are 2 playlists and a video on your screen that if you got this far, you owe it to yourself to indulge in. So I hope to have you back.